Carl and Damon here from Games, Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and they made what? Into a TV series. This is our Castlevania run. We are talking episode 3 of season 2, Shadow Battles, directed by Adam Dietz, and written by Warren Ellis. We are now getting our way into season 2.
Yep.
Chipping away at it, and we begin in a nice part of the country where a young child walks through fields under a nice sun. It's so bright, but the sound of flies gets his attention. He finds the corpse of his pet dog, takes out 2 coins, and uses necromancy to resurrect the dog. Just straight away, you're like, okay, who's this? All that. It is, of course, a young Hector, as we see the man working at his forge while thinking back to this event. As a child, he was overjoyed to have his pet back. But when he brought it home, his parents naturally didn't react well.
Yeah.
It's very Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, and obviously being in that sort of time period, they're probably thinking this is bloody witchcraft. And
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah and no. I think magic existed in it, but maybe you probably didn't want necromancy. Bringing the dead back to life was probably, considering the religious aspects that we've seen already with Lisa Tepish, Dracula's wife. That's some serious heretic shit. That's a burning at the stake stuff. In Dracula's castle, a new night creature is made as Carmilla watches on, and she enters the forge and praises his work. She turns the conversation to Dracula and queries his concerns about the vampire. Hector reveals that he's worried Dracula has lost the will to live, which is an aspect we obviously are getting quite strongly as well as viewers. Carmilla tries to convince Hector to create creatures to send to the Belmont house. Obviously now I haven't found out that Alucard may be around. Maybe we might want to go there and check it out. She is insistent that the Belmonts should not be underestimated just because they're all dead. Boom.
She's 100%
Carmilla's right.
Yeah.
Hector agrees to create the night creatures, but only if Dracula agrees to send them. So that's the kind of thing which frustrates Carmilla naturally. And she asks about how Hector met Dracula, and Hector reminisces on how Dracula found him in the East of Rhodes. Dracula sought him out and then recruited him to raise an army. Hector was in awe of Dracula asking him for help. A man like that asking me for help, Hector was blown away by that. And when they discussed that, Hector asked for a cull of humans rather than a cruel genocide, which Dracula suggested would be the case humans used as livestock. Now, obviously, we kind of know that doesn't marry with what we're seeing, so we kind of know either what's changed or is Dracula lying. That aspect.
Yeah, see, for me, when he recruited him, see, I wasn't sure if he recruited him before he'd known his wife had died.
No, this is, so the recruitment phase is him visiting him after Lisa's dead. Okay, so because this is why he wants them. He wants the necromancers to bring the dead back. Yeah, that kind of thing. Carmilla wants Hector to create a group of night demons that only he can trust and to help her to convince Dracula to select Brrraains as the next target. Do not forget, Carmilla's obsessed with them attacking Brrraains instead. Meanwhile, Trevor, Siphon and Alucard have arrived at the ruins of the Belmont estate. And it is a bit ruined.
Yeah.
Yes. And they find a hidden doorway, which is open with magic, and head inside. It isn't exactly too much work for them to get in, is it?
No,
really?
No,
Not much of a story to that.
No, it's quite easy.
Inside, though, they find a massive underground library and museum to demon and vampire slaying. They discuss the origins of the Belmont name and how they moved based around where their skills were needed. So we get a bit of Belmont history here. Always good to have. Cypher begins researching what they need, even though Alucard points out that it's so big, they might actually struggle to find what they need, and it is true, it is a very big area. Trevor, though, points Cypher to an index as we see Alucard is uneasy about the stored vampire remains that are preserved there. He's kind of looking at these skulls of vampires, and you can tell he's like, these are kind of my people.
Yep.
You know?
No, I liked it because it shows that he's a vampire.
He's still a vampire. Yeah, like that. I think it's important to always have that element where Alucard isn't necessarily good or bad. You know, he's right in the middle. Yeah. A damaged bookcase gets Trevor's attention, and he finds a chest inside. What's inside the chest? The Morning Star Whip. Obviously a legendary Castlevania weapon, and Trevor is extremely happy to have it. Cypher, meanwhile, is amazed by what she finds and is surprised by Alucard's lack of interest, so to speak. And in a great line, he points up, it is a museum to the extermination of his kind. Hardly reasons to be impressed.
Yeah,
Going,
going. I'll say a little bit, but going forward, I've noticed his dimmer has changed a little bit in the next few episodes going forward too. So.
Well, ultimately, when Alucard's probably thinking the general Belmont view of Alucard would have been stake through the heart, talk later. It's only because of who Trevor is that but bear in mind, when Trevor saw him, what did they immediately start doing?
Yeah,
fighting. It's what Belmonts do. In Dracula's castle, Godbrand expresses his annoyance with Dracula's plan, believing vampires will be left hungry without human blood to consume. So it's a damn good question here.
Yep.
If the extermination of the human race occurs, how are they going to survive? Dracula, exhausted, points out that he stores blood and there are always animals. Godbrand, though, is not happy about the idea of having to drink animals and continues to push. And Dracula, having had enough of Godbrand's question, towers over him, calling him little, a parasite, and unimportant. When Vlad does get in his moment, you are reminded that this tired, pathetic-looking vampire is actually not the case at all. He is a monster.
If he turns it on, he'll kill you. Yeah.
Without question. And even the vampire should fear him. It's also quite clear here that Dracula doesn't really care what happens to the vampires. Yes. And Godbrand leaves under the threat of death from Dracula. So, all right, yep, time to go.
So my opinion was that this is basically he wants everyone wiped out. He doesn't care.
Well, because obviously we're developing over a season, and we've established Dracula's role, but we haven't had a lot of it confirmed. Yep. So it will be confirmed as we go on. Out on his way through the castle, Godbrand was in the Camilla, and he rants to her about Dracula. He suspects that Dracula is now on a suicide mission, and that he'll take them all down. Nice bit of levity from Godbrand. He's a bit idiot, but he's not. He recognises a problem. Furious, Godbrand walks off, refusing to fuck Camilla. I do like the fact he's got that going on. He's too angry, even though she didn't even mention it once. She chases after him, knocks him down, and tells Godbrand that Dracula must take the castle to Brrraains. So something's going to happen there. We will get there, people. We will get there. She then reveals how she killed a vampire who turned her after he became old and mad. You get a nice flashback of that guy's death.
Yep.
And she now sees that Dracula has become the same. And that's where this episode ends. So we are kind of building up. Camilla is the threat. Camilla is not just a threat to humanity. She's a threat to Dracula. She's a threat to other vampires as well. She wants power. You can see it. She just needs to get rid of Dracula, but she can't face off against him. That's a suicide mission.
Yeah, there's a difference between the one she did to her maker and Dracula. Dracula's like
she's manipulative, and she's manipulating people. She's manipulating Hector, and she's manipulating Godbrand. However, Dracula has to take some of the blame here. Yeah. He's allowing this to happen. He's choosing to sit and watch, knowing this is happening. Deep down, whatever. Yep. And you can be theories as to why. He doesn't care. He's not interested. He almost want them to kill him, so to speak.
Yeah.
But this is a strong continuation of what we've got at the moment. Developing the vampire divisions. Divisions is the word. Learning a bit more about Hector.
Yep.
And of course, spending time in the Belmont family home.
Yep.
Or the crypt anyway, at least. I'm just enjoying this shit, That's what it is. Yeah. It's just really, really good fun to enjoy. What else is there to say? Castlevania. Yeah. But we are at episode 3, and you kind of know there's 8 episodes. We've got more to come. They can only give us so much away.
Of course, yeah.
Episode 3, Shadow Battles. You got any thoughts? You know what to do? Let us know in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?